I'm realizing I don't have a fancy intro for these videos. I don't know if that's helping the quality or deterring it. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't spend $8.99 on this. Almost, though. I would have. This is Left Alive by Square Enix. It's supposed to be a terrible game. As you will find out in the upcoming videos, I love terrible games. But anyway, a couple of reasons why I got this one. One, it's a terrible game. Two, it was like $25, and then it got dropped down to $8.99. And my local game store knows that I love, one, crappy video games, and two, video games that I can take the covers and restore them and the art and everything else and fix that up, take off the labels, clean them up and everything. So a lot of times they give me piles of crap, whether it's a crappy game or a crappy case, knowing that that's my jam. This one in particular warranted its own video in my mind because of two reasons. So the first one being this is just a crappy game. And that's always fun to put a lot of time and effort into restoring a crappy game. The second thing is this tag on the back. This tag on the back is actually not from the game store that I got it from. I got this from a local game store, but this tag on the back is not from that and them. This is from I don't know. I want to say that it's Best Buy. But I've seen it a couple other places, so I don't know if it's like a standard tag that people use or not. But it's a pretty common one. It's on the plastic, don't worry. But the thing I did want to show you is that these monsters... Look at this. You ready for this? Gonna take the cover art out. Oh no. It's stuck to the cover art. Not a big deal. Not a lot of it is stuck to the cover art, but it's definitely something that we can fix and we can improve on. So, tools we're going to be using. As always, going to be using a regular old scraper, as per usual. White ones for me are Bestine. So, if you see a white one, I'm using Bestine. If I have a red one, that means I have an acetone. If I have a blue one, that's just general all-around scraping, but that's also the one that I use for experimental things. So, ethanol, alcohols, anything else. Tweezers. As per usual, probably won't need them, but once again, that snappy sound means that they are clean. There is no adhesive on these. Tweezers will swipe up adhesive like crazy. Bestine, as always, covered in cat hair, as always. Bestine and some Q-tips. Normally, in this instance, the first thing that I would do is I would strip out the cover art and strip out the game. Also, can I tell you how disappointing it is? This is so disappointing because that's where the manual goes. Look, it even has tabs for the manual. And do you know what's not there? The manual. That's annoying. So we're going to focus on getting this part removed from the cover art as cleanly as possible. It's not going to be that big a deal at all. Look how dusty that is too. Nobody wanted this game. This poor crappy game. So we're going to work on getting the cover art off from the label and the label off from the cover art. Looks like somebody actually already tried. But you can see very gently, you can see that there's a little bit of residue that's still sticking on. I'll show you what to do in these instances. Again, as always, my methods are excessive, but they're excessive for a reason because I want to see the range that this stuff can happen. And I want to go as far as possible with different equipment and different tools to see how we can restore something to near perfection, what's the fastest way, easiest way, cleanest way, and everything in between. The disc looks fine. It's got some fingerprints, not mine, but it's got some fingerprints on it. We'll show you how to clean those too. That's super simple. Not too worried about it. Doesn't look like it's been sent through the ringer or anything. This is one of those stores that loves to put everything through the disc buffer and gives it a nice polish before it gives it to me. And I must have a note in my list or in my profile on their system that says, like, don't do that because he'll freak out because he's weird. I probably have a lot of notes like that in my file that say that. So just for funsies, I'm also going to see if I can remove the top layer of the label to see what the old price is. So without further ado, first thing I want to do is just to make sure that this is all nice and clean. I'm going to take some of this guy and just get the residue off the back just to make sure. And wipe it. So what I have off to the side, and you probably can't see it, is just a paper towel. This is the good landing zone for label fragments, good cleaning off kind of thing. It's a junk paper towel, and I know that it's a junk paper towel. Oh, well, that's easy. Well, someone tried to do my work for me. It's a junk paper towel, and I know that I can leave stuff there. This game store that I bought this from actually has really good quality labels. Oh no, you're going to see it. You're going to see the name of the company. You can't have that. Which, I don't know if that actually matters or not. Scratch it off anyway. I don't know if it matters. But just in case I get too famous and then suddenly the people find out where I am. It was $22.99. So these labels are good. I like these labels. Never have an issue with these labels. And just for posterity, I'll show you the capillary action. You can't see it too much because the label's very light, but it is going to town, and it's already going through the front. So you can see that. And I'll dab a little bit on the front. And you can see that that's soaking in very nicely. That's what you want. If you see a label like that, and if you can peel off the majority of the label with your fingernails, that's exactly what you want. So we're going to get in here, and as usual, we're going to find if there's a loose corner, which there is. Now, you want to find a loose corner down on the opposite side of the cover art. This happens a lot, actually. This is a really common thing. And oh, look at that. See, this is when you get quality labels. This is the result you get. What I'm doing with a scraper is I'm pressing down on the plastic and pulling up against it. You can do the same thing with your fingers. You can do the same thing with whatever you want, but you just want a little bit of resistance so there's a little tension so that the adhesive can release. Here's where we get to the business side of things. That actually came off a lot cleaner. Oh, that came off super clean. That came off really well. Fantastic. So there's a little bit of residue on the label or the cover, but it doesn't look like there's anything. Nope, there is, and I don't even know if the camera's going to pick this up. There's a little tiny bit on the cover art, and that's okay. That's fine. When you pull it out, make sure that you go the opposite direction so you don't make your problems any worse. We'll get to this in a second. First thing I want to do is address this. Okay, yeah, so you can see, I need a better pointer. That's a good pointer. So you can see right here, and you might not be able to see it, you can see a little tiny bit of the adhesive marking on the top of the cover art. Okie dokie artichokes. Here's where it gets a little interesting, because the cut ends of the paper are where the fibers of the paper have opened up, right? Right. We all know this. We understand how paper works. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that you don't get too much in there so that it'll soak into the paper. So think about the paper as having a little bit of seam on the middle. So this has a printing on the top, has printing on the back, and then there's a little seam on the middle. I'm just doing a lot of explanation because what I'm going to do is wipe over it really quickly with Bestine or Heptane, whichever one you want to do. It's the same thing. And wipe over really quickly, pull off that residue, and then come in with a dry paper towel and make sure that I just dry off the area, okay? And it's probably kind of unnecessary. I want to see how damp this is. That's a good amount. Okay, probably unnecessary, but here we go. And then you just get in there, you dry it off, and it's just enough And I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but what happens is, and this might actually make it worse. Oh no, it took a little bit of the blue. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Honestly, part of the problem is that I'm trying to tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it, so I end up going a little bit slower than I need to. That's okay. So just watch the Q-tip as you go along, and then make sure that you're not taking up too much blue. So you see I have blue on the Q-tip on that side, but I don't on this side. You just need to go a little bit faster. And if you're looking super closely at it, you can see a little bit of a curl. See that corner starting to curl a little bit? That is from the introduction of a liquid. And that's from the paper starting to roll up because of the introduction of the liquid. Not a big deal, not the end of the world, not even worried about it. We didn't leave it on long enough, and we moved quick enough so that it came off fairly clean. So we're going to be a little more liberal on how much we put on here. That's about my usual amount. Come in here and dry it off. And you can see, again, you can see the capillary action of, see that? The capillary action of heptane is also kind of crazy. You know, it can scoot when it wants to. And on plastic, it does not dry as quickly as you would think that it would. So, look, I don't know. If you don't think this is neat, I am going to be a huge disappointment to you for years to come. I think this is neat. I don't know why I'm messing around with that. So, bloop. So what I did, I mean, obviously, you take your paper towel, obviously, and you fold it in there and you let the paper towel do most of the work. So you pull it in close to the edges and you just kind of rub it down, make sure that you're getting everything all cleaned out. Fold it over, check your edges, check your edges. Realistically, for real though, I probably used more heptane than you actually needed. I'm holding off a sneeze just in case you're curious. So there's, oh no, there's a little tiny bit right there we'll get. And then what I'm seeing, and again, I don't know if the camera can necessarily see this, but we're getting a little bit of liquid inside of this seam. I got out a pointer for a reason. You got out the pointer for the reason, feller. So you see a little bit of liquid right there. See that? Which tells me, yeah, and it's running all the way up and down this seam. And that tells me that this case sucks. That's basically what that's telling me, is that this case is just crap, because that should be a good tight seal. So that right there should be a good tight seal. Instead, I'm getting a little tiny bit of liquid absorbing in there, and I should not. Well, at any rate, yeah, that's just telling me what I probably could have already guessed. So, no big deal. Next on here, since we're dealing with the back, and since the back has these little indentations that are very susceptible to pressing and deforming it, we're going to have our professional Cold Stone Creamery tool nearby, just in case. Just start to give it a little bit of a pick on the side. See, look at that. Isn't that nice? We might get lucky with this one. We might get lucky with this one. You guys all saw that, right? You saw that I knew what I was doing. See, here's the problem with these scrapers. I don't know if you can see this. Look at that. Already. Then this is one of the brand new ones. So this is why you buy tons and tons and tons of these, because this kind of stuff just happens. Ah, look at that. Look at that. As you roll, fold up a little corner if you can, so that if it folds back down, it doesn't fold back in on itself. This one might come off pretty smooth. Leave that there. This one might come off pretty smooth. The thing that you want to do is put reverse pressure on here, opposite direction pressure on this way, so that as you're prying, it has a little bit of force to pull against, and it's not necessarily going to pull against the entire cover. Oh, see, and this, again, quality labels. This is the kind of thing you get. That's the kind of thing you want. Well, that's it. No, I'm kidding. But that's fantastic. That actually went really well. Super smooth. Didn't even need the professional, patent pending, and very rare Cold Stone Creamery video game restoring tool. Get yours today at El Doug's Cleaning Shop. How great would that be if I sold this? But I sold them for like $26. Stonks. So next thing we're going to do, the Meyer Disinfecting Lemon Scent Wipes. Now you guys all know that I'm from the Midwest, if my accent didn't give it away already. We're just going to give it a good scrub down. Yeah, and look at that. Again, it's going underneath that seam. That means that seam is not as nice and clean as it should be. Yeah. So, and this is probably the dumbest thing where someone's like, what are you so excited about? So that seam is filtering some of the liquid through it, which just tells me what I already knew, is that it was not the best seam on the edge. Interesting. This is a pre-owned game. I honestly doubt anyone played it, but this is basically the normal of what I do to pre-owned games. So you wipe it all down, and then I like to put them there, nice little tent. I'll actually put it out of the way a little bit, and then go to town on this thing. So funny thing about Clorox wipes and disinfecting wipes in general, if you read the instructions, it actually suggests that you, let's see what this one says. I know what they all say is that, yeah, to clean and deodorize, wipe the surface, let it air dry. To clean and disinfect, wipe the surface and let it remain wet for 4 minutes. Nobody's doing that stuff, but that's technically what it says to do, is the, proper, there's the word, way to do it, is that you're supposed to wipe it down and leave it like that. That's some nonsense, though. So the one thing that I won't be doing is I won't be cleaning the data side with the paper towel, just because that's dumb. We're going to take our microfiber. This one's green. And we're going to wipe it off. And it might take a little bit of buffing, but this will clean up just fine. I just realized you probably saw my phone. What's my phone look like? Case is pretty professional. Should put the mustache sticker back there. Yeah, so this cleans up just fine. As you're doing this, just look for any kind of anythings that look weird. Anythings, I don't know, whatever jumps out at you. Yeah, there's really nothing much on here. It looks pretty good. See how this is doing? It's almost dry. We'll just kind of move it along a little bit and get it the rest of the way. For a number of years, when I was first doing this, I had Clorox wipes. I forget what was so special about them, but they were orange scented. And so every single game that I cleaned or anything had a nice orange scent to it. I don't really do that anymore. Yeah, the shadowing will go away. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up. There's a little bit of shadowing. That'll go away when that dries, but whatever. Now I just get whatever's on sale. Clorox wipes wise. And again, these are store brand. Doesn't really matter. All you really want from a cloth like this is you want it to have a little bit of texture and a little bit of thickness to it so that you're actually able to give a little bit of a scrub. That's about it. And then you want it to... This one doesn't even say everything it kills. It kills staph. Good. You want it to just be, your standard, this will clean everything kind of thing. And maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you're not as much of a germaphobe as I am. The great secret's out. That's why I clean a lot of this stuff, because, oh my gosh, I'm a germaphobe. So just look it over. The thing that I'll forever notice, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Oh yeah, Will, look at that. Is you'll have the outline here. That outline will go away as the plastic kind of bounces out, stabilizes a little bit. It's not as much on the back here, which is good. But on the front, it'll be like that for a while as the plastic shrinks and expands over time because of the relative humidity and the moisture content in the air, blah, 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 science terms. That'll smooth out a little bit to where you'll go back into it and it'll be nice and soft. It'll be nice and smooth, and it won't be the shape of the label. Cat hairs on everything, as per usual. Easy enough. There is a nice little ledge, and I've shown this in a couple of movies. Videos? Films? I've shown this in a couple of videos where to straighten out the cover art, you go in and you push it down until it hits this little ledge right here. And then you know that you're just about good, but right before you close it, give it a little poke up. It should be good. After this, I should clean Metal Gear Survive. Well, it's already cleaned, but I should clean it again just to like have a series going. I still have Catwoman floating around here somewhere just to remember, so that nobody questions that I clean even the crappy games. Just in case. Fellas. Didn't use these. Didn't have to. Barely used that. That's awesome. So to recap, that's about a standard what I do if I get a nice case with good labels from a video game store. I mean, that's fantastic. That's what you want. That's basically the straightforward, easy squeezy version. Oh, that's printing. I thought that was like a stain or something. That's basically the straightforward thing. You use your scrapers just to make sure that you don't, mess anything up. So you still want to use your scrapers, and you still want to make sure that you're assuming that it's going to stick, because you don't want to get in a situation where it didn't stick, where it, and you're scraping it up and it's going terribly. So tools we used, I'm not counting my pointer. I need a better pointer though, better than this. This is actually for scraping the seams and the ridges and the insides of video game consoles, and then this part here is mostly used for prying. It's a soft plastic, so you can use it for prying open consoles and stuff that won't scratch as much. The other ones are these, and these are metal, and they will scratch. So instead use these will still kind of scratch though, no big deal. And that's just for scraping out the hand gunk from the sides. Scraper, disinfecting wipes. It says it kills everything in 15 seconds. I feel like I left that sitting for 15 seconds. Bestine or Heptane, as always, because, and you'll see it in it's around here somewhere. You'll see it in the Goo Gone video. This stuff just leaves a film. Sorry, it leaves a film. I don't like it. I don't like it. So that's about it. Some Bestine, Heptane, I'll call it the right thing one day. Some Q-tips. And look at how nice and shiny and new that is. Look at that. And it's the day one edition. Which, I think the day one edition probably had a card that I didn't have. Man. Now if somebody comes over and looks at my collection and they say, do you have the day one edition? I go, yeah. And then they open it up and they go, no, you don't, because it doesn't have the codes. And I will be a fraud. As always, the reason I do this is to... Look, and I almost did it again. Lousy, rotten, stinking. There we go. Reason I do this is I want to be able to collect as many different ways, methods, and procedures that exist in this world for cleaning video games. Cleaning video games is something that I like to do. I find it relaxing. I find it interesting. I'm just putting back the very important, very secret card. I find it relaxing. I find it interesting and important. And my goal with all games, and I will say this a whole bunch of times, my goal with all games is to bring it back to its good condition, excellent condition, as good as it can possibly be, assuming that it was left in basically optimal conditions since purchase. It will have some wear to it. That's assumed because this game is probably not all that old. 2019. Well, whatever. But it's an important thing. And part of it, and I get into this a little bit more on the Discords, and I get into it a little bit more. I'm just going to fidget with this for the rest of the video, and I hope not. I get into it a little bit more, oh my gosh, on the Discords and on some of the articles and everything that I write. But I am not entirely sure what the long-term effects of labels are on plastic. The adhesives that they use on them are a gum-based adhesive. It's an organic material that is used for the adhesive for the most part. That's what most industrial adhesives are made out of, are different types of organic material. That stuff breaks down over time. My curiosity is if the adhesive on these labels is an organic material and you're putting it on a petroleum-based plastic, what happens over time? I don't know, and I don't really want to know. I want to remove it as quickly as possible. This plastic will break down. I know that. It's polyethylene and a polyglycol, and it will break down over time. I get that. But I want to remove the organic material as quickly as possible because I know that that's something that will break down over time. And I use it as an example a bunch. It's on a bunch of different places, and I'll make a video of it just to show the mitigation of it, is the Atari... Actually, I'm going to grab it. Hang on. Hang on. Keep hanging on. Ugh. So this, and I'll do a full video on this. I don't know why I'm bringing this up now, but this is what is happening from Atari cartridges just because of the adhesive material, the organic adhesive material that they used. This is what comes out of that. This is what happens to that. At the time that they were making these cartridges, they thought this was the best approach. They were going to use this adhesive, and they were going to use this label, and they were going to slap it on, and it was going to be good to go. Let me get real close on that. That's mold, okay? And that's mold that's molding from the underside through, from the adhesive that was used. The argument that a lot of people have is that, well, this, they were using a cheaper adhesive at the time. They didn't know any better at the time. Maybe. I don't know. So, things like this. And this, it's mold, and it will continue to get worse. You can't fix this. You can mitigate this. And this game came from 1980. So long before most of you people that were listening to this were alive. So 20 math years later, nope, that's 40 years later, this is the kind of thing that's happening. Well, this game is only for 3 years old, 2 years old, whatever math. This game is only about 2 years old. So at some time, someone thought this was the best thing they could do with that material. At some time, someone thought this is what the best they could do with this material with the understanding that they had on hand. I just try to remove labels because if I was alive and around making YouTube videos in 1980s, I would figure out a way to mitigate this. I have some methods on how to mitigate this. I have some approaches, but time is the biggest deciding factor on these things. Also, ew, gross. So that's part of the reason why I do it. The other part of the reason is because I want every single one of my games to be in like new condition. That's my goal. That's my plan. That's the thing that I work on at all times. As always, if you have any questions about the methods, if you have any questions of how to get something back in good condition, how to clean it up or anything like that, just drop me a line. You can drop me a comment. You can find me on Discord. I have a Twitch. All that stuff is linked on the YouTube description. I'm still figuring a lot of this stuff out, so bear with me. That's about it. Find me if you have any questions on anything. I always want to help people out. I think this kind of stuff is a little more boring to people because people would much rather use the Goo Gone than anything proper, but I like to find the different methods. I'll do more videos of cartridges because I know that's something that matters to a lot of other people. As always, if you got any questions or any requests, anything you want to see me clean or think I don't know how to clean, hit me up on any of those things. Be sure to tell people, especially collectors, because I want to help them have the best collection they possibly can. Until next time, I don't know, see you around.